Hello and welcome to my review of the Biovore for Tyranids for Warhammer 40,000. Now this model will cost you £30, and as of the beginning of October this model is currently out of stock on Games Workshop's web store, along with a load of other Tyranid models. And I think I said this in the Emissary review, that it just goes to show that it's not the best idea to release all of your new releases for a faction on one day. This kit comprises of 37 plastic components, comes with an 18mm round base and three 25mm round bases. You get the Biovore or Pyrovore, which is the alternate build, and 3 Spore mines. It's smaller than you would think, than you'd expect. Luckily though, the price point isn't too bad. £25 I think would be a bit too cheap for this, but £30 is about, just about right. If they tried to charge 35, it would be overpriced, I think. But having said that, it's a fun little kit. You will build it very quickly. It's nice that it's a dual build. Some people have magnetized the sort of rear weapon as well, so there is that. So the format of this review is as usual. I'll have a look at the model up close, look at the detail, talk about how easy it was to build, then we'll look at the spare parts. Of course there are a load of spare parts, which includes the Pyrovore sort of weapon system. Then I will go through some size comparisons with some bigger Tyranid creatures, including the Dimacheiron, and then I will go through all of its rules to explain whether it's any good or not. So first things first, the Spore mines, they are very, very easy and quick to build. They are literally 2 parts you put together and then you put it on the base. Downside about these being easy and quick to build is that as soon as you get a second set, you're going to have 2 sets of twins, because all your Spore mines are going to look the same, unless you change the base up or break one of the tentacles off, or I don't know, paint them slightly different, whatever, but they're all going to look the same, those Spore mines. Now the Biovore itself, I'm not a massive fan of its pose at all. It's this weapons platform. The weapon is as big, if not bigger than the creature that it sits on itself. I think it should be in more of a bracing pose. It's a far cry from what we've had before with the older Biovores, with the kind of gorilla looking, I don't know, silverback type big toes and feet that they had at the front. I'll show the exocrine in a moment and you'll understand what I'm talking about. I like the direction they've gone in though, with this kind of crab insect type looking creature, but again, vulnerability, evolving, these are supposed to be the evolving sort of bio super weapons or whatnot, and you're giving it 6 legs and you just need to take out like 1 leg and it's pretty much done for, really. So yeah, it's an odd choice. It's odd that they put the armor underneath. Maybe it's to protect it a little bit, but there's armor there on the thorax of the creature. I can't see any kind of sight or lenses. I don't know how it's meant to see where it's firing. Typically you have some kind of symbiote or parasite or something on the weapon to guide it, or at least give the creature some eyes, but I just don't know how it can see the things it's firing at or whatever. It's really odd. I know I'm picking alien creature apart here, but yeah, other than that, it looks all right. It just, the pose with it kind of tumbling over seems a bit odd. I would have liked it to have been in more of a bracing pose rather than it scuttling forward, but there we go. Other than that, it's fine, I guess. The other option you can go for is the Pyrovore instead of the Biovore, and I think that's in a better pose. The way there are different legs for the different units, so I prefer the sort of pose for the Pyrovore. Yeah, it's an odd one because the Pyrovore is pyro, fire. It's more of a flamethrower, close ranged weaponry, so I'd expect the Biovore to have that pose and the Pyrovore to have that pose, but you know, at least you get different poses. So if you were to pick up another one, which I probably will pick up a Pyrovore at some point, then they are going to look a little bit more different with the pose of them kind of walking forward. So that's the miniature. Let's have a look at the spare parts, which are just here. So this is the alternate weapon, the Pyrovore weapon, the flamer. This is the sort of thing that goes on there, maybe. I can't remember the way it sort of goes on, but yeah, there is this part of it. And then these are the two different legs, just two, but it does make a difference. And then you've got this thing as well, which I assume goes on the back of there, just to kind of close it up. Yep, it does. So they're your 4 spare parts, I guess. So not many for your £30, but you know, and again, I question whether you can use them. I think people have sort of magnetised the top, which is you know, possible thing. Size comparisons then. Firstly, I just want to compare it to an Exocrine, which is kind of like its big daddy. It doesn't really look like its big daddy anymore because it's so far removed. Will they ever change the Exocrine to have these big kind of crab spider type legs? I don't know, but they share some similarities with the armor plating, but yeah, the tail's different. It doesn't have these hooves, it doesn't have the claws, it doesn't have these claws at the top. You know, the head is different. I'd say it's more protected on the new one. This one is, you know, you can go for a headshot quite easily with that. Yeah, so that's where it stands next to one of those. I was expecting something bigger with the Biovore, but that's the Exocrine. Just give you some comparisons with the miniatures from the Leviathan set. So there's a Tyranid Prime, and there's a Screamer Killer. So this is where, you know, you see that it's not that much of a big unit comparing it to the Tyranid Prime, if you know how big one of those is. I mean, even the Swarm Lord kind of makes it look quite small too. So, and then the Dimacheiron, I don't know why I'm giving you this comparison, but there's the Dimacheiron next to the Biovore, absolutely huge creature. And of course, a Norn Emissary right here, makes it look tiny. I mean, I guess you could have a few of these, a few kind of Pyrovores sort of guarding it to unleash a torrent of kind of bioplasma flame. And compared to some Imperial models then, from the Leviathan set, we've got the Ballistus Dreadnought, which makes it look tiny, and then a Terminator. Even a Terminator looks quite big next to one of these. Definitely could take one on, I think. And then the usual 3 miniatures. We have a Space Marine, Slight Marbo, and then a Primaris Space Marine. So that's where it stands. You know, compared to like the normal Primaris, you know, you get 5 of these Primaris, they're going to outnumber it, aren't they? You know, size-wise, they look quite big next to it. Hope those comparisons helped. Okay, you've come to my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Biovore. You'll find the rules in your brand new Tyranid Codex. Because it is in alphabetical order. It means that you will find it straight after Barb Gaunts, but for some reason it breaks the norm, because straight after Biovore you've got the Pyrovore entry, which is a little bit odd. Now a Biovore will cost you 45 points. For 2 models it's 90, and for 3 models it's 135. That is the unit composition, so you can have between 1 and 3 Biovores. For Pyrovores, they're actually much cheaper. For 1 model it's 30, for 2 models it's 60, and for 3 models it's 90 points. So you can get 3 Pyrovores for 45 points cheaper than 3 Biovores. Their stat line then. The Biovore stat line is a movement of 5 inches, toughness of 6, save of 3+, 5 wounds, leadership 8+, and objective control 1. It's exactly the same stat line as the Pyrovore. Toughness is good at 6, you know, 5 wounds is quite decent, and a save is alright. Where they really change though is in both their ability, their unique ability, and their ranged weaponry. So a Biovore is equipped with a Spore Mine Launcher and Chitin Barbed Limbs. The Pyrovore is equipped with Flame Spurt and Chitin Barbed Limbs. So the ranged weapon, the Spore Mine Launcher, it's a blast, devastating wounds, heavy and indirect fire. So I think with indirect fire you can fire at things that you can't see. It's a 48-inch range, which yeah, puts to shame the Exocrine's bioplasmic cannon at 36-inch range to shame. It has attacks of D3, ballistic skill 4+, strength of 6, AP -1, damage 2. That's not too bad, you know. Unfortunately, it is ballistic skill 4+, you know, but you're definitely getting one shot there, and it is AP -1 and damage 2. But you know, it's a blast weapon. It's devastating wounds as well. Melee weapons, Chitin Barbed Limbs. It's a melee weapon, 2 attacks, weapon skill 4+, strength 5, AP 0 and damage 1. Nothing to write home about. It's nice that it has 2 attacks, but 50-50 chance of hitting, and it's only strength 5. Abilities, it's got a core ability called Deadly Demise 1, and then Faction Synapse, and then it also has Seed Spore Mines. Once per turn in your shooting phase, when selected to shoot, one unit with this ability can use it instead of making any attacks with its ranged weapons. If it does, you can add one new Spore Mines unit to your army and set it up anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within 48 inches of this unit and more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. So you kind of like deep striking Spore Mines into the battlefield. That Spore Mines unit contains one model for each model in this unit. Now, Spore Mines have their own separate profile. They are, you know, like a different unit of their own. They're a movement of 4 inches, toughness 1, save of 7+, 1 wound, leadership 8+, and objective control 0. Their core ability, they have Deep Strike, Faction Synapse. They have Bio Minefield rule, where enemy units cannot start or end an advanced move within 6 inches of this unit, so it's a great area denial unit. Floating Death, each time this unit or an enemy unit ends a move for each model in this unit that is within 3 inches of one or more enemy units, select one of those enemy units. That model in this unit is destroyed. Then roll 1d6. On a 2 to 5, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 6, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So there you go. You know, although they're only movement of 4 inches, you get these within 3 inches of enemy units, you're going to be hitting them with a mortal wound. So not only do you have that area denial, you have the mortal wounds that can inflict on them. Unit composition, 1 to 3 Biovores, and every model is equipped with Spore Mine Launcher and Chitin Barbed Limbs. So that's the Biovore. It's pretty nice. It's a nice indirect fire weapon. I wouldn't really use one. For me, Tyranids are all about horde armies, but you know, you could certainly have 3 of these in a unit, firing out those Spore Mine Launchers, having area denial with the indirect fire. You don't need to worry about them getting hit so much. You could have a combination of these and some fast units that are charging your enemy, and that kind of forces them to move and adapt on the fly. Compared to a Pyrovore then, well, the Pyrovore, you know, the Biovore creature itself, it is a 5-inch movement. So already that's not that fast. Although it's got 6 legs, you'd expect something with more legs to be able to move faster, but it's not really the case in terms of this Tyranid. It has a Flame Spurt weapon, which is a 12-inch range, attacks D6 plus 1, strength 6, AP -1, damage 1. I don't think it's worth it. You know, although you could potentially get 7 attacks with it, it is only strength 6. It is only the same strength and AP as the Spore Mine Launcher, but the Spore Mine Launcher has quadruple the range and more damage. You can potentially get 3 attacks with it. The Pyrovore it's mainly going to be used against sort of weaker infantry, weaker units. If you're up against Space Marines and things, Primaris especially with multiple wounds, I wouldn't use a Pyrovore or multiple. I'll just stick with 3 Biovores sat at the back. You pay your 130 points or whatever, and you just rain down spore mines all over the place. That's how I'd use them. Pyrovores do have a purpose, but you know, not so much against heavily armoured elite units, whereas Biovores have more of a damage output, I think, for the, you know, slightly increased points cost. So I'd go with Biovores over the Pyrovores. What do you guys think of the Biovore? Do you think it should have been bigger? Do you like the direction they went with this kind of crab spider type creature instead of the older Biovores? I think it's great that we've got a kit in plastic now and it's not too pricey. I like it, but I'm not a massive fan, as I would be with the Gene Stealer kit and the Death Leaper and Lictor kits. Please do put your thoughts and opinions about this kit down below. Great to hear from you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching. For the Norn Queen.